Yo, what is good, everybody? It's Golden Falls, the Golden Emperor, whatever you really want to call me. And yeah, I'm back. This is going to be a compilation of a full story that I did a while back. I want to give a preference to this though. I decided I might as well revamp the thumbnail and give a little compilation, so maybe people want to check it out. My mic is a lot worse in these videos, just want to let you know that. But also on top of that, the last part that I did doesn't have any editing at all. It's just one still image. So that's what you'll see in the last part. This is the only video that will do this. This is the only video that I'll have that's older. That's a compilation because it's the only one I quote unquote finished. So yeah, I just wanted to say that really quick. Nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoy, and I hope y'all just show some support for this video. But if you don't like it because the quality is not as good, I get it, I understand. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoy, and let's get into it.
This story will begin right after the story of Dragon Ball. Everything that occurred in normal canon of Dragon Ball would occur the exact same, all the way up until the meeting at Kame House. Goku, yes, of course, wanted to have a reunion after all these years, but in this canon, it was far more than just that. When Goku arrived, he was greeted by everyone, but there was more to the story at why he wanted to meet up. He introduced his son, but then asked Master Roshi if he knew why his son's power was so extremely high, especially for only being 4 years old. Roshi tells Goku that now that he thinks of it, it is odd for a young child to be this strong. Obviously, they don't know power levels necessarily, but they could sense Gohan, the half Saiyan, half human's power. Everyone's power levels were the same, or are the same as in canon, but Gohan actually had a power level of 100, which is very outlandish at this point, especially when he's only about 4 years old. Yes, this may seem like nothing, like I said, but at this time, being 4 years old, and you account for the rage boost, it would be even more insane, because of the dormant legendary Super Saiyan powers within him that currently nobody truly knows. What the group didn't know for sure is that not far away, a space pod just landed, and out came a Saiyan by the name of Raditz. Raditz began searching for his brother Kakarot, and he came across Piccolo, but quickly left after noticing another high power, assuming that this has to be his brother. Raditz arrives, and the group can tell he isn't very good, and he questions why his brother hasn't taken over this planet already, and he ends up revealing that he is part of a powerful race called the Saiyans. Krillin steps up but is knocked out quickly, and Raditz grabs Gohan and takes off. Piccolo, who was watching this whole thing unfold, approaches Goku, and for the time being, they have a temporary alliance to save Goku's son. Goku calls for Nimbus, and Piccolo flies next to him, eventually seeing Raditz, who has Gohan in his pod. Raditz questions if he really wants to fight his brother, but Goku tells him that his brother would never act in such a way. Goku and Piccolo take off their weighted clothing, and the battle begins. The battle is extremely similar to canon, but the difference here is that when Gohan sees Goku get extremely injured, his power skyrockets, far beyond what it was in canon. When this happens, Gohan smashes into Raditz, dealing a considerable amount of damage, stunning Raditz, and Goku is able to grab him, and everything that happened in canon occurs once again. Piccolo lands a special beam cannon, killing the two brothers, sending them both to the afterlife. But Goku, before he dies, hears the words of Raditz as he tells them that in a year's time, 2 more Saiyans will arrive on Earth. From here on out, Goku's story is exactly the same, so let's talk about Gohan. Just like in canon, Piccolo takes him away knowing that he needs to train the child because of this large outburst of power that was just revealed. Piccolo begins training Gohan as much as possible, teaching him how to survive and other various things, obviously toughening him up. The difference here though is Gohan was already decently powerful, and he actually got a slight power boost from recovering from that headbutt. The real change comes when the full moon arises, and Gohan goes berserk. But the thing is, he doesn't turn into a great ape. When Gohan sees the moon, his muscles bulk up slightly and his eyes grow a slight yellow tint. His power spikes tenfold, and Piccolo is forced to destroy the moon, and it luckily powers him down, and Gohan passes out. What Piccolo gains from this is that the Saiyans can actually gain power through the use of the moon, but he doesn't know that they could actually turn into something known as a great ape. As the year goes by, the training is very fruitful, for both Gohan and Piccolo actually. Gohan grows a lot faster than normal, and his raw power actually helps Piccolo grow faster as well, in terms of actually having a half-decent sparring partner. By the end of the year, these are the power levels, that would be different from canon. Piccolo is actually at 4,000, Gohan at 2,500, and everyone else would be about the same as canon, including Goku, who has not quite arrived yet. Finally, the Saiyans have arrived. The Z fighters meet up and all head to the wasteland, waiting. When the two Saiyans approach, the big brute says that all their power levels are in the high hundreds. But Vegeta tells Nappa that it is definitely a possibility, being that they defeated Raditz, so strength like that, with a bunch of numbers, could have defeated them. Nappa decides to plant the Cybermen, but in this, Gohan feels more confident in his power, because it took him way less time to do the normal training he went through in canon, allowing him to actually have more combat experience against Piccolo. Quickly, the Cybermen are actually defeated, and Yamcha actually doesn't die, because of the fact that Gohan can actually carry his side of the fight a lot easier. Nappa is slightly impressed, and even tells them that basically they did well. He approaches saying that they must be hiding a tiny bit of power to kill those off. So, they must fight him. Piccolo approaches, egging on the brute. The fight begins, and they are both pacing themselves and are evenly matched. But even Piccolo knows that the other Saiyan there is far out of their league. His plan is basically to stall this fight as long as possible. Since both of them are equal strength, the fight is all about technique, and frankly Piccolo has the advantage being able to stall the fight. Vegeta gets pissed off, after a while realizing what actually is going on, deciding to step in himself to kill the Namekian. Nappa asks Vegeta why he did that, and he tells Nappa that the others will be more fun. But that was a massive mistake. The ground begins to shake like crazy, and their scouters begin to see a power level increasing. 4,000, 5,000, no, 25,000. Nappa asks if this is real, but before a word can be spoken by Vegeta, an enraged Gohan in his Akari form kills Nappa using a Masenko. Vegeta powers up and begins to fight, but the raw power difference is a problem. Realizing this, he begins getting beat down, but he is finally able to make some space and creates a power ball, other known as an artificial moon. He throws it to the sky and begins transforming into a great ape. Vegeta, being that he made the power ball himself and was getting beaten pretty badly, he's currently at a power of 130,000. This alone, though, is far more than anyone in front of him. He slaps Gohan away and then proceeds to beat him down. Then fights the rest of them with ease. He kills Tien, then Chaozu, Yamcha, and then he turns to Gohan, about to shoot a mouth beam at the unconscious Gohan. A red blur races by, slicing off his tail. Krillin looks on to see Goku, and he just sliced off the tail of Vegeta, in hopes that it's a weak spot. And in doing this, Vegeta actually begins to shrink. Vegeta looks to see Goku, questioning how him and that damn brat were so strong. How could a low-class warrior like Kakarot be this strong? Goku stands above Vegeta, telling him that he will allow him to leave. this planet as long as he never returns. A pod comes down and Vegeta takes the offer and begins to leave. Goku turns his back as Vegeta enters his pod. He tells Krillin not to worry, but as he says this, Vegeta blasts Goku in the back before he actually leaves, not killing him, but injuring him greatly because he had his guard down. Vegeta then gets away in his space pod. Krillin brings both Goku and Gohan to the hospital, but realizes that Goku actually has 2 senzu beans in his pocket. He gives both Gohan and Goku a senzu, and they both pop up with an insane power boost. Gohan shot up to about 6,000 because of his insane potential, and also the fact that he was beaten just as much as canon, if not more, in this scenario. And Goku is close, if not the same as canon, maybe even a little bit less, but nothing to write home about. About the same as canon before he left to Namek. Speaking of Namek, the news was brought to them that there were Dragon Balls on this planet. Goku and Gohan are up and ready to head off, but Popo tells them that based on the strength of Vegeta, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that there were also other strong beings out there waiting for them, meaning it would be for the best for them to train beforehand. Bulma enters and says, why not do both? She explains that using Kami's ship and the schematics of Goku's old pod, her father can create a new ship while the 2 others go off to Namek first. Goku asks if they could add maybe a gravity chamber like how King Kai's planet had extra gravity to aid in training, and she says why not. So in this, Bulma and Krillin head off before without Gohan this time, in hopes that their allies will come meet them as soon as possible with the new, faster ship, as well as more power to combat any foes ahead of them. Krillin and Bulma head off, and Goku and Gohan begin training normally together. And Gohan gains even greater fighting prowess with the help of his father. After some time, the ship was then done, and both Goku and Gohan were ready to start their 6-day journey to Namek in hopes to wish their fallen friends back. Gohan and Goku then went on their 6-day trip to Namek. And keep in mind, now that there's 2 of them, the strength they're gonna gain is a lot more, especially when they train in the gravity chamber. They got way stronger than normal because obviously having that sparring partner, both Goku and Gohan, which Gohan normally wasn't even here, see insane amounts of growth. Gohan also was kind of getting taught how to control that rage power, that they don't really know what to call it, but they just know it's the power of the great ape, really without going great ape. But what they don't know exactly is that it's actually far more than just that. And he actually started getting a grasp on it, so he is somewhat able to transform into this state on command. He basically just used the idea of how Goku relaxes his body and uses the way he basically uses Kaioken to try and activate that form, which wasn't the best idea, but ended up working out because he figured out how to unlock it and re-unlock it. But by the end of the trip, well, Goku is actually at a power level of about 150,000. Like I said, having a sparring partner is insane, and it's been said on multiple occasions, when you spar with someone, you'll gain power a lot quicker than if you're training on your own. And Goku originally was only at a power of 90,000 in canon. Gohan, I put at a power of 100,000. This may seem like a lot, but you gotta remember, Gohan's a half breed in the first place, a half Saiyan, half human, but on top of that, he's the legendary Super Saiyan. Obviously, he doesn't know that currently, but all he knows is that he has this insane potential in terms of his rage boost and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be too outlandish putting Gohan at about 100,000. So what happens on Namek then? Everything goes very similar to canon. I mean, maybe Krillin was definitely in maybe a little bit more danger, but Vegeta kinda handles Dodoria, Zarbon, obviously after getting completely destroyed by Zarbon, and then and then eventually killing him. And nothing really happens until you get to the Ginyu Force. I could go through this long explanation of what happens, but frankly, there's really no reason. Vegeta and Krillin practically are just punching dummies throughout this entire time. I could see them killing Goldo. That doesn't surprise me by any means. But obviously Vegeta gets completely destroyed by Recoome, just like, in canon. And finally Goku and Gohan then arrive. And when they basically get there, Gohan helps completely obliterate Jace, Birder, and everyone else except for Captain Ginyu. In which, Goku basically can handle Ginyu on his own until he gets hit by the body change. This definitely is going to play a role because obviously Goku's going to get beat up pretty badly, and obviously Vegeta is going to attribute to that as well, and then eventually leading to him going to get healed. Right now, actually, we have Gohan, Vegeta, and Krillin, just like in canon, with Dende about to, wish back their friends, leading to the revival of Piccolo and wishing him there, and then unfortunately Guru dying. But what all y'all have been waiting for, after this occurs, the Emperor of the Universe, Lord Frieza, then arrives. Vegeta, just like in canon, will fight First Form Frieza, but once Frieza, transforms, he begins beating on Vegeta. Krillin cuts off Frieza's tail, trying to use a Kienzan, but, that doesn't work out too well for him because he ends up getting impaled by his horn. Gohan, in a fit of rage, activates his Akari form and, begins beating on Frieza. With this rage and with the form, you can easily put him above 1 million power level, and he begins smashing Frieza. But right when Frieza got a slight upper hand and can kick away, he then transformed into his third form, changing the tide of the battle very quickly. And even when Piccolo arrives, they can keep up a little better, but they're not at the advantage by any means. Eventually leading to, Vegeta getting blasted by Krillin, and then healed reluctantly by Dende. Finally, the final form of Frieza arrives. The Z-Fighters watch as an overconfident Vegeta approaches Frieza, spouting, "I'm a Super Saiyan," and that Vegeta is going to be the one to defeat him, and that he's the last of his royal blood. But, as y'all know, Vegeta, proceeds to get his, destroyed. And eventually, leading to the arrival of Goku after being healed. Frieza immediately realizes Goku's strength right when Goku charges at him and they begin fighting. Their fight is pushing Frieza to actually half of his power, being 60 million. But he's only 10 million more than Goku currently at Kaioken times 10. Goku's base is now 5 million. Using the Zenkai multiplier that he got originally in canon, taking him from 90,000 to 3 million. If you use that same multiplier, we're taking someone that was from 150,000 all the way to about 5 million. Being that now that obviously he has Kaioken times 10, that's 50 million, only 10 million less than what Frieza is. So, when Goku knows that he has to finish the fight, and he pushes the Kaioken up to 20 times Kaioken, it gives him a power level of a whopping 100 million, beating Frieza into practical submission. With, him beaten, Goku tells him to leave. The normal Goku thing. Let the villain leave and hope that he comes back for a better fight and maybe changes his ways. Maybe they can fight again one time or another. But instead of that, Frieza sends a blast at the ground trying to destroy the planet. But luckily Goku is able to use Kaioken times 10, able to stop it, and ends up finishing the job by using a Kamehameha. At least that's what he thinks. After using the wishes they needed, they head back to Earth in Goku's ship, and they did more gravity training, but not as hard as they did before, obviously, because they have no real reason to suspect anything bad or anything in general. So they do mild training in 100 times gravity, which obviously is not mild training, but to them they're pretty used to 100 times gravity by this point. And Gohan does see pretty good growth, because at the end of the day, Goku is far beyond his son, nowhere near where they were in terms of the 50k power level gap, but Gohan sees really good growth where Goku sees very minor. Gohan's growth is actually to about 300,000. But what the Z Fighters didn't know is that they were missing out on a crucial part of the story. Goku isn't no Super Saiyan. He doesn't know instant transmission. And well, now a future someone will be arriving in the timeline that is very different than what he expects. Trunks, the future time traveler, then arrives, but he arrives to, well, no Frieza, no King Cold. This is odd for him. He doesn't know what's happening, and maybe King Cold will arrive soon. But he swore he heard from, well, his timeline that they did arrive. That Goku spared Frieza, and he somehow survived. So he has to wait for Goku to arrive, but the thing is, Goku already has. Goku arrives, and well, he's been there for a while with his son. Trunks confronts him and asks about some things about Frieza, but he just says that Frieza's dead. Trunks is visibly confused, but he begins explaining the whole, well, time traveling thing, saying that he's from the future, and that the androids will come very soon in the next 3 years or so. And that, well, they actually exterminate practically everybody on the planet. But the person that is, well, the key to solving this problem is Gohan. In his future, Gohan was the legendary Super Saiyan as well. But the thing is the androids were that much stronger. The androids were extremely strong. And only when Gohan lost control, he was able to kill one of them. But he, well, killed himself in the process. The energy alone made him explode. They obviously don't tell Gohan this because they don't want to frighten the young child, but Goku does put more strict regimen on Gohan to basically follow up with his training. And that's what they do over the next 3 years. They basically begin training just like in canon, but Gohan actually gets a hold and finally gets, well, mastery of his Akari form, not his, well, Super Saiyan form. It's actually going to be, seems like a decent while before he can get a mastery over it, but maybe he'll get it sooner than we think. So finally, they all go to meet the androids after 3 years of waiting. Meeting, well, androids that are definitely odd. Android 20 and Dr. Gero. Obviously, they don't know who these androids are or which ones they should be looking for. But obviously, just like in canon, Goku does succumb to the heart virus, and then Gohan actually steps in to fight Android 20, defeating him with ease with his Akari form. Gohan is extremely strong at this point, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to actually overcome this hurdle of Android 20, not without struggle. Don't get me wrong, there's gonna be some pullback because he is just a child and his techniques aren't flawless, but he's able to defeat him, and Vegeta then comes in right after to fight Dr. Gero. But Dr. Gero is able to, well, create a diversion and escape. Unluckily for them, Gero makes it to his lab, and finally, well, he releases the real androids. The real androids then proceed to kill Dr. Gero, or more like Android 17 proceeds to kill Dr. Gero and awaken another android. 3 more androids. These Z Fighters, the Z Fighters were only expecting 2. Now there was 5. I mean, they might have defeated, or well, 2 of them might be already gone, but 3 is even more than what Trunks initially said. Trunks arrives seeing this and blasts the base, but nothing works. These androids are, well, seem to be even stronger than the ones in his timeline. Ones that had the modified strength based on Gohan's potential, based on Gohan himself. But these are even stronger, it seems. And this isn't good. The team of the Z Fighters are beat senseless, but luckily are allowed to leave. The androids, for some reason, just let them leave and explain that, well, they just want to kill Goku. So they finally leave, but Goku stays hidden, luckily, and Piccolo obviously tempts with the idea of fusing with Kami to stall for time. Eventually, some time passes, and Piccolo finally meets Cell, confronts Cell, but this time it's not so easy. When they fight, it's almost even, if not Cell has the advantage, getting substantial energy from Piccolo, but luckily he's able to escape. Piccolo's surprised. He can feel the energies of everyone, even the energy of Gohan, but what's really bugging him is that it feels like Cell has this dormant power just like Gohan. It feels like Cell has a potential, well, that could destroy everything. But Piccolo escapes, luckily, with his life. But this fusion with Kami, well, puts him on the level of at least Android 18. But frankly, this won't matter very much. When he goes out to fight Android, well, 18 and 17, Cell then arrives and absorbs Android 17 and proceeds to kill Piccolo and Ten Shinhan. Goku may have awakened by this time, but there's one big thing that, well, I talked about before. Goku doesn't have instant transmission. He has no way of saving them. Gohan wants to go down and help, but Goku refuses, saying that that's a ridiculous idea. They do that, their hope of winning is now stripped away just like that. They need to wait for Vegeta and, well, Trunks to get out of the time chamber and hope that, well, there'll be enough to defeat him. And their prayers are quote-unquote answered when they arrive out of there. Vegeta's cocky manner makes Goku believe that maybe he could beat him, but the energy difference does feel weird. It seems like Vegeta isn't going to be a match for, well, Cell, but he's not so sure about that yet. So Goku and Gohan go into the time chamber and begin their training. Their training begins to, well, get Gohan to his Super Saiyan form, in which they do, but it does take a long time. So Goku makes it a point to basically train himself and get himself into that mastered Super Saiyan form. Gohan's form is interesting. It's so strong, but it seems practically uncontrollable. He finally gets a grasp on it, but the anger built up beside the form and behind the form is insane. But it seems way stronger than any regular Super Saiyan form. It seems like the multiplier is far beyond anything Goku could actually muster. Gohan might even be able to wipe out Goku currently with a single blast. But with a really good training partner in Gohan, well, this sees great results. Better than in canon. Goku is extremely strong coming out of the time chamber, and so is Gohan. But the power difference is blatant. Gohan is extremely strong, especially in his Super Saiyan form. But that's what's scary. Can he control his Super Saiyan form? Can he do it long enough to defeat Cell? And that's when they hear of Cell reaching his perfect form. Goku decides to sense him and basically try to go and size him up. But, well, that doesn't really matter. Cell seems out of their league for some reason, and Goku comes back after hearing that Cell created something called the Cell Games. Trunks and, well, Vegeta head back into the time chamber, and Goku's worried. Goku's worried about this monster that stands in front of them. He is so worried that they go back in the time chamber with Gohan once again after, well, Vegeta comes out. Goku initially would not consider this, but he's worried about the aspect of Cell being like Gohan. He's heard from Piccolo that he's sensed, well, multiple fighters within him, and Goku has sensed it before as well. So what does this mean? So Goku and Gohan go back into the time chamber and train once again, but they don't see the best results. They see good results, but Goku was right. It's all diminishing gains from this point on. It's destroying your body. That's the whole idea behind it, and that's what he felt, and there's not much more he can do. Gohan eventually gets more control over that Super Saiyan form, but Goku's still not sure if it's enough. Some more time passes, and the Cell games then arrives. Doomsday for the Z Fighters, and well, Goku steps up first, and this isn't good. Cell seems to be using only a partial part of his strength, and Goku seems to be on par. And Goku is outputting as much of strength as he can as possible, and it seems like he's losing. Cell, with the DNA of everyone there, seems to be outmatching Goku. Goku decides to step down and say that it's now time for Gohan to fight, in which this was a good idea. Gohan, well, will get stronger as the fight goes on, and not only that, his Super Saiyan form is far stronger than anybody else's there. He activates his Super Saiyan form immediately and charges at Cell, landing clean hits on him, and then pulling him up to the sky and throwing him back down, charging up a Kamehameha wave. But immediately Cell is up on his feet and begins laughing. Gohan blasts at Cell, but he smacks it away. Gohan's eyes go wide, and they drop in fear. Cell begins to mock him, asking if that's all the boy can muster. But Gohan charges in once again with even more strength, but this isn't good. Cell blocks it with ease and grabs him by the face, slamming him down. He begins taunting him. "You know, my boy, I knew you all were training, so why wouldn't I, well, figure out my power myself?" His eyes begin to flicker this weird color, this orangish yellow color, and Cell's power erupts once again. He begins telling Gohan that he is part Saiyan as well, correct? And he begins beating on Gohan, beating him down bad, to the point that Gohan can barely breathe. The rest of the Z Fighters decide to step in, but with one swipe of his hand, they're all knocked out of commission, more or less. Vegeta and Goku are the only ones that are really able to hang on to like their last bit of consciousness. Cell smiles and says that there is no running from the inevitable, and there is no chance in this fight. He was built too perfect. Goku stands there and yells for his son to wake up, yells for his son to do the thing that he couldn't. And Gohan grabs the hand that, well, Cell is about to punch him with, and his aura erupts into a fiery green aura. This aura was no other. He begins to bulk up like crazy and begins to pile drive Cell into the ground and begins to smash him senseless. Gohan is on a new level. Goku smiles, but then realizes his son's no longer there. His son is no longer in the eyes of Gohan. So Gohan proceeds to brutalize Cell, eventually shooting a giant mouth beam at Cell, obliterating him, every cell in his body. But Gohan's not done. He charges in at the people that are injured and begins to beat on them too. Goku tries to reach out and talk to him, but there is no reaching out. Gohan is lost in anger, and he stands up and flies up to the sky, blasting a giant Kamehameha wave at the ground and blows up the planet. The planet that, well, Gohan, Goku, and all the Z fighters swore to protect is now gone. Everybody is gone. Gohan is now, well, in space, floating through the area with a cloak of ki around him. What's going to happen to Gohan? Is anything at all? Well, the legendary Super Saiyan was, well, that of a legend. Gohan, Son Gohan, and his power was too much for this world, too much for himself. So much so that he drifted off into space with power boiling within him until, well, he exploded, until the energy leaked out and killed him. Sometimes something that is so legendary should stay a legend. And that is what happened with Gohan, the boy that was born from Chi-Chi and Goku, the one that was supposed to protect Earth, ended up destroying it.